Assistant Chief David Lazar, Chief of Operations for the San Francisco Police Department, and I would like to welcome you on behalf of Mayor London Breed and our Chief of Police, Bill Scott, to our quarterly Officer of the Month celebration. This has been such a beautiful venue to honor our officers for their heroic work, and I want to thank you, Mayor and Chief, for continuing these programs. So thank you very much. Round of applause, yes, for our Mayor and for our Chief. I would like to acknowledge a lot of special guests that are here today. First, our San Francisco Police Command staff that are here. Can I ask you to stand up if you're part of our command staff? Just give you a round of applause. Thank you for your leadership. From the Board of Supervisors, President Aaron Peskin, Supervisor Myrna Melgar, Supervisor Raphael Mandelman, thank you for being here. I would like to recognize our police commissioners, Commissioner Walker, Commissioner Yee, and Commissioner Benedicto. Thank you, commissioners. I would like to also recognize the Mayor's Chief of Staff, Sean Ellsburn, and also I would like to thank from the Mayor's team, Ivy Lee, and also Martha for making sure everything is perfect. Thank you, Martha, for getting us all organized. I see in the crowd as well Rodney Frong from the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Rodney, for all of your support. What's exciting about this ceremony every quarter is that the list of sponsors continues to grow, and we cannot have this event unless we have sponsors that are willing to step up and support us. First, I'd like to start out with the BXP team, Steve Colvin, Rod Dale, of course, our former Chief of Police, Greg Sir, who really has championed this idea, bringing this back, and Deputy Chief John Loftus. Thank you very much for being here and for all your support. I also like to thank Tracy McCray, the president of our San Francisco Police Officers Association, who's here today. A round of applause for Tracy. She always likes to stand in the back, but she's definitely front and center. And then this entire list of sponsors. The Hyatt Regency of San Francisco, the Hearst Corporation, Kilroy Realty Corporation, McCall's Catering, Decker Electric, GCI Incorporated, HOK, Metro Service Group, Paganini Electric, Peacock, Platinum, Rubin, Junius and Rose LLP, Bay Area Host Committee, JMA, Parks Hotel Group, Hilton Hotel, and JP Morgan Chase. In addition to that, some of our larger sponsors have been BOMA, the Hotel Council, the Union Square Alliance, Neighbors for a Better San Francisco, and of course, the Chamber of Commerce. So a round of applause for all of our sponsors that helped make this happen. This has been a remarkable 24 hours for the San Francisco Police Department. I just want to share with you, we started out 24 hours ago notifying a captain and new lieutenants and new sergeants of their promotions. I know Daniel Dudley's here tonight. He got a call yesterday that he's going to be promoted to sergeant, and he's being honored today for his heroics. And then starting this morning, we were all some of us were at the Department of Emergency Management as the mayor kicked us off for the unveiling of the new dispatch center. We're very grateful for DEM and all of their support for the officers in the field. And then after that, we were at headquarters and we were honoring sexual assault victims by Denim Day, led by the chief and the district attorney. We had a great event with all of our special victims investigators, honoring them. A couple hours later, we were honoring all of our professional staff. This is administrative staff, professional staff day, and so we had a chance to honor them. And then we took our photo for the 175th anniversary of the San Francisco Police Department. That photo is going to be a tremendous history piece as we look back years from now and see who was in the photo. So thank you, Mayor Breed, and for everyone that showed up for the photo. And then now, we end the night honoring our police officers in San Francisco. So it's been an incredible day, and just very grateful to be part of this department and part of the entire team. Okay, with that, we're going to move right into the ceremony. And we have 3 separate captains that are going to describe the heroic or great work of their officers. And but before we do, I'm going to have the mayor and the chief say a few words, and we're going to start with Mayor London Breed. Mayor Breed.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Lazar, for recapping the last 24 hours with all the incredible activity that has occurred for the San Francisco Police Department. As was mentioned, I want to give another shout out to our former police chief, Greg Sir, for bringing forth this incredible idea to honor our officers and all the incredible work they do for the city and county of San Francisco, and bringing BXP along to be a sponsor as well. So thank you again, Chief Sir. Assistant Chief Dave Lazar mentioned that we were just out in front of City Hall taking a commemorative photo to recognize the 175-year history of the San Francisco Police Department. And when I looked around at the men and women of the department, there was something very different in the photo of today than the photo of 175 years ago. There were not only people of color in this photo today, there were women. And in fact, there were so many people who were leading this department that have had a great opportunity to ensure that the diversity of the department reflects the city that they serve. And so it is so great to be here today and to honor the men and women of this department, the people who put their lives on the line every single day, and to say thank you. Thank you for your work and your service, and thank you for choosing to be a part of making San Francisco safe. The thing that was not mentioned is what has happened recently that we should all be very proud of. The fact that this year, this past 2023 and continuing, has marked one of the lowest crime rates that San Francisco has seen in the past 10 years, not including the pandemic. And that is attributed in most part to the hard work of the men and women of the department, their investigations, going above and beyond, and doing all the amazing work they do to keep the people of San Francisco safe. And today, you will hear about some of those stories. And although they may sound as though they are easy to do when you talk about them, but can you imagine the action that it takes, the intuitive nature that they possess, that they use in order to have the skill set necessary to combat a lot of the challenges in San Francisco. Today we recognize their work and that they have gone above and beyond, and we celebrate the department and the history that has been made in this department over the past 175 years. So I'm excited to be here, excited to honor these officers, and grateful to each and every one of you for what you do to make San Francisco better and safer on a regular basis. Thank you all so much.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Breed. I would now like to call up our Chief of Police, Bill Scott.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Lazar, and thank you, Mayor Breed. So good afternoon, everybody. First, I want to say hello and welcome to the families that are here to supporting these officers who will be awarded today with the Officer of the Month. And it is really, really gratifying to hear about your work, to see your work, and to be here to give you a personal thank you for all the things that you've done to get this award today. To the families, I just want to say just a few things, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Assistant Chief Lazar. You know, for those of us that are in these administrative positions, we live through the work of the officers on the streets. We live through the work of the investigators on the streets, and this is not an easy job, as we all know, and you often hear that said. You know, there's a lot of ups and downs in this profession, but the one thing I think that keeps us all going is when we see the fruits of all the investments that this city puts in this police department work its way down to the people who are doing the work, and we see it work the way it's supposed to work. We see it work right. And this is an example of what it looks like when it works right. And it's uplifting when I hear your stories and when we read your arrest reports and when we read your commendations and your captain comps, that's what keeps this department going. That's what keeps us going. And don't stop doing what you're doing. We have momentum now, as the mayor mentioned about the crime statistics. Things have turned around from a couple years ago when it seemed like everybody was against law enforcement. We know not everybody, but it just felt that way. And now we have tons of not just support, but vocal support, visible support. People are cheering us on, and that momentum and that wind behind ourselves will propel us forward. So I want to personally thank the officers, Officer Vincent Massalang, Officer Daniel Dudley, Officer Brittany Taylor, Officer Wing Wa Look, and Officer Cameron Stokes. I remember your name. And Officer Cameron Stokes, because when you hear their stories and the work that they've done, it's not only heroic, but again, this is what we do. This is what this city is here for, this police department is here for. So thank you again, and I'm going to turn this back over to Assistant Chief Lazar and the captains so they can read these commendations and you can hear about this heroic work. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief Scott. I would now like to call up Captain Tom Harvey, Commanding Officer of Mission Station.
Hello, everybody. My name is Captain Thomas Harvey. I'm the Commanding Officer of Mission Station. And this evening, I have the pleasure of presenting the following award recipients for both Officer Vincent Massalang and Officer Daniel Dudley of Mission Station. I'm going to be reviewing 2 incidents with everyone that involved both these fine police officers. The first incident is regarding a crew of middle-of-the-night garage door burglars had been hitting the west side of the city in the early weeks of January of this year. The organized group would case garages in the middle of the night while people slept, and on multiple occasions this group was successful in committing hot prowl burglaries, stealing bicycles and other items before escaping to an awaiting van. For clarification, a hot prowl burglary describes a burglary where the suspects break in when the residents are at home inside their house. Due to the superb investigative efforts of SFPD's burglary unit, department-wide emails and crime alerts were distributed regarding the suspects believed to be involved and their getaway vehicle. Officers from Night Investigation and Mission Station would soon be enlisted in this operation to apprehend these offenders. After locating the suspect vehicle, a surveillance was conducted on the 1000 block of Clayton Street in the Park District of San Francisco. Officer Vincent Massalang learned that the vehicle's occupants were on foot and standing next to an opened residential garage. Officer Massalang, who was working undercover, began foot surveillance on these suspects. He watched as they used flashlights to peer into people's garages and was able to communicate to the arrest team when this group successfully burglarized a garage, stealing bikes, scooters, among other items. Once the burglary had been completed, Officer Massalang advised the arrest team to move in, and all 5 suspects were arrested and booked into custody, and all stolen property was returned. As a result of this, the string of burglaries that had plagued the west side of the city was over, thanks to these 2 officers and their team, which is right over there. The second incident, on February 9th, an investigation was underway into the whereabouts of a suspicious vehicle which had fled from Mission Station officers the night before. The vehicle's occupant was suspected of being involved with vice-related crimes. As early as the very next morning, the investigation led to Oakland, California. In Oakland, Officer Vincent Massalang and his partners, who I'm going to quickly acknowledge, Officer Dan Dudley to my left, Officer Glennon Griffin, Officer Sean Cody, Officer Caden Gervin, Officer Dolores Doctor, and Officer Isaiah Kubis located the vehicle and observed the wanted suspect as he entered a liquor store. The team had a pre-existing plan to safely take the suspect into custody. Officer Mosseling was the first in. He was the very first officer who went inside the liquor store, and that's where he encountered the suspect, who was 6'4", 250 pounds, and standing in a narrow aisle. With the assistance of Officer Daniel Dudley, Officer Mosseling ordered the suspect to let go of the gun which he had in his pocket. At this point, Officer Mosseling had his hand inside the suspect's pocket while the suspect was holding and grabbing onto a gun and refused to let go. These two gentlemen to my left, with the assistance of their team, wrestled with the suspect for well over 2 minutes. It was a long physical struggle. And as I said, the suspect was tall, he was large, he was strong. Nonetheless, they persevered and were able to take the suspect safely into custody after a very, very close call. The gun was recovered, the arrest was made, and this suspect was booked not only for the firearm-related charges, but also the person had a burglary warrant out of Palo Alto, a domestic violence warrant out of Los Angeles, and lastly, a violation of a probation warrant out of Contra Costa County. Congratulations to both Officer Vincent Mosseling and Officer Dan Dudley, soon to be Sergeant Daniel Dudley. Congrats, you guys.
Oh, wait, you're supposed to be in here.
Okay, thank you, Captain Harvey, and congratulations to the officers. I would now like to call up Captain Luke Martin, Commanding Officer of Southern Station, to make his presentation.
All right, thank you, everybody. Good evening. I'm Luke Martin. I'm the Commanding Officer of Southern Station. I have the privilege to present this award to Officer Brittany Taylor, Officer Wing Luck. And I'd like to go into a little bit about each of these officers before we get into the incident that we're here to talk about. So, Officer Brittany Taylor has been in the department for about 6 years, total about 8 years law enforcement. She works our midnight shift. For those of you that aren't in the police department, that's like graveyards. She's been doing that the entire time by choice. She has the seniority to work easier shifts that would probably be a little less busy and less hectic, but she chooses to work the night shift. She's also a field training officer. And I could probably talk to you about, I don't know, 3-4 dozen different incidents that Officer Taylor's involved in. She's extremely hardworking, amazing work ethic, and generally does impeccable work. So she's a joy to have as a commanding officer. I sleep a little easier knowing she's out there at night. And then Officer Wing Luck. So she did her probation at Southern Station and just recently finished that and was transferred off to Central Station. Our loss, their gain. I was very impressed with Officer Luck right away. She kind of just showed a real eagerness to get out there and just learn about the job and do police work. She showed a tremendous work ethic, was very fearless out there in showing to all the officers on our team that she was out to do this job and do it the right way. So I'm hoping she transfers back to Southern, but we'll see. Hopefully Chief can make that happen. So the incident that we're here to talk about, like I said, there's many that we could have reviewed, but this is the particular one. It happened on Thursday night, or Thursday morning, February 8th at about 1 a.m. in the morning. The officers were on patrol in one of our rougher neighborhoods in the Southern, which encompasses the areas around 7th and Mission, 8th and Mission. We tend to have a lot of narcotics activity, a lot of violence in that area as it relates to narcotics. And I've asked the officers to do a lot of work out there, and being the good officers they are, that's what they were doing. So as they're patrolling the area, they noticed somebody who was riding their bike on the sidewalk, which is a traffic code violation. and didn't seem to have much purpose, was just kind of roaming around in that area. And they decided that they needed to stop that person for that violation. So Officer Taylor was driving the car that night. Officer Luck was in the passenger seat. They pull over. Officer Luck exits the car to stop the person for the violation. And immediately the person drops the bike and takes off running on foot. So Officer Luck, without hesitation, is in a foot chase with this suspect, not really knowing what's going on, but clearly thinking there's probably something a little more than just riding a bicycle on the sidewalk. Being the veteran officer that Officer Taylor is, she didn't bail out of her car too. She knew to stay in her car and keep that pursuit going, but in the vehicle. It's a lot harder to outrun a vehicle, as you can imagine. So as they're continuing the pursuit, the suspect runs up an alley where they lose sight of the suspect for a short while. Officer Luck makes the turn into the alley, and the suspect's waiting for her. So they order the suspect to the ground. He's refusing all lawful orders. In the meantime, they're calling for backup. Backup's coming from Tenderloin and Southern Station officers. And they end up physically trying to take the suspect into custody. As they're doing it, the suspect's fighting and resisting, but they're able to safely, without injuring anybody, officers or the suspect, take the suspect into custody. They do a pat-down search for weapons and don't find any. Now, they're very confused on why the suspect might have been running, so as good officers, they retrace their foot pursuit to see if the suspect might have tossed anything. And sure enough, short ways away, they locate a 9mm Hellcat firearm that appears to be loaded. So they're able to recover that. And in order to really solidify this case for prosecution, they start canvassing the area for video surveillance, and they locate a video that captures that suspect's pursuit travels. And sure enough, on video, they see clearly the suspect with his hand dumping the firearm on the street to avoid him actually being caught with that firearm. So excellent work by the officers from start to finish in this case. But that wasn't all, actually. So as they continue their arrest search of the suspect, they find a scale and several different types of narcotics: fentanyl, methamphetamine, marijuana, I believe, as well, and enough for sales, for possession for sales of narcotics. So all in all, just an amazing case, one of many that these officers do on a nightly basis. So congratulations. Thank you very much for all your hard work.
Okay, thank you, Captain Martin, and congratulations to the officers. I would now like to call up Captain Jason Sawyer, Commanding Officer of Northern Station, for his presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jason Sawyer, Captain of Northern Station, here with Officer Cameron Stokes. Cameron, where's your family at? All right. Buckle up. I'm going to tell you a story about what a fantastic and heroic family member you have here. So on March 18th, just over a month ago, just after 6:30 in the morning, right after his shift started, Officer Cameron Stokes responded to a call for service of a man asleep in his car at Octavia and Lombard. So the public just saw a person in his car, just a well-being check, and that's all that anybody knew. It's not exactly what happened. So Officer Cameron Stokes responded by himself, made contact with the driver who was asleep, and with his keen sense of observation, immediately noticed a firearm within reach on the floorboard of the car. Realizing that he did not have time to wait for backup, Officer Stokes quickly seized the firearm right in front of the suspect and was able to secure the firearm and then order the suspect out by himself without any use of force to get this suspect into custody. Then the backup came. Isn't that how it always works? So after the scene was rendered safe, Officer Stokes then decided to do some investigation instead of leaving it there. A thorough search of the car revealed large quantities of crack cocaine, methamphetamine, mushrooms or psilocybin, and marijuana, all packaged for resale. This is something that happens every single day that the public, again, only thought was a well-being check, but because Officer Stokes, doing what he was doing to be trained correctly, was able to safely take a situation that was far bigger than what people thought it was and was able to diffuse it into an arrest. Needless to say, the gun was illegally in possession. It was a loaded, stolen firearm. The car was not the suspect's. Everything about it was all wrong. But this is what happens every single day when an officer, using proper training, safety techniques, is able to do his job. And I also want to point out that thank you for putting something like this together, because this is an arrest that happens virtually every single day at Northern Station, and for the most part, doesn't get noticed. This is the work that the San Francisco police officers do daily that you don't hear about. It doesn't make the paper, you don't hear about it, and just as a quiet professional, he goes about and does this type of work on a daily basis, as do other officers. So I'm extremely proud to work with Officer Stokes. And again, for your family members, you have a great person here. We're very happy to have him at Northern. Come get your award. Thank you very much. All right. Don't touch your mind. Don't touch your mind. Where do you want me to stand?
Okay, one more large round of applause for all of today's honorees. Yeah, thank you. Okay, the ceremony may be over, but the celebration continues. So I'd like to say a couple of things. First, we're going to have Mayor Breed and Chief Scott, along with the honorees and their captains, proceed out to the photo area. And secondly, we hope that you enjoy the refreshments that have been provided. Oh my gosh, Mayor Breed always has to remind me. I get like a C+ overall. Mayor Breed, thanks for the reminder month after month. The honorees receive, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell you this, each one of them receives a $500 gift certificate, and they also receive a night at the Hyatt Regency down at the Embarcadero for their great work. Thanks to the sponsors, and thanks for the reminder, Mayor Breed. Yes. Okay, thank you for that. Now, so if I may ask the mayor and the chief and the honorees to make their way up to the photograph area. Please stick around, say hello to everyone, enjoy the refreshments, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Grab your awards for the photo. Congratulations. Always a pleasure to see you. Yes. It's rarely in the daylight. Yes. Congratulations. Exciting. Congratulations. Good job as always. Yes.